All right, so this video, we're going to turn this dashboard into a USB charger without all of the extra cost. We're going to change this fuel gauge, and we're going to change the temperature gauge, and that's where the USB plug is going to be already in the bike. And by removing those, they're going to automatically default to the screen, which is the original design of the bike. These are the tools that you need here: crimpers, cutters, 1 or 2 butt connectors. This tool here, I'm not really sure what size it is, but it comes in the toolbox. This is the voltmeter that we're going to put where the fuel gauge is at. This is the 52mm gauge that is going to fit here for the USB plug, and these are the wires that come along with it. So this is going to be a quick fix, and I would highly suggest this to anybody with an RT that doesn't want to go through the trouble of connecting anything to your battery. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the process, and you can see exactly how it's done. Just touch the screen so you can see. So right now, we're just going to remove this plate from this dashboard plate, which is only 4 screws, and it's very easy to remove. Normally I'm not dropping screws, but I keep track of where everything is. So you can loosen them up and then just pull the dashboard out at one time if you want to. Or you could use some needle nose pliers, which will actually make it easier to grab the screws once you do have them loose, and you can pull them out as such. That way you don't run the risk of dropping them on the ground. This is going to be one of the quickest, easiest fixes that you could probably do if you don't already have a phone charger up front on your bike. So now with those screws loose, now you could actually remove this dashboard area here, and you have enough wiring on the back to where you could actually be able to pull it out with no problem here. But you might have to turn the handlebars a little bit to be able to remove it, which is no big deal. It's pretty simple. And once you pull it out, you will see what kind of room you're working with. Now, what you have to remove here, these are the connections for where the temperature gauge is and the connection for the fuel gauge. So you have enough room, you can just take it and just tilt it forward as such. Okay, now to remove these, you basically would just get a wrench or some pliers to be able to take them off. Since I didn't bring any pliers or a socket with me, I'll just use these needle nose pliers to be able to loosen that up and unscrew it off of the base, because they shouldn't be on there that tight that you can't take them off. It should be an easy removal for that. So you have that one, and then you have one more here. You have one more here that you have to take off. And for the most part, you should be able to use the connections that's actually already on the bike. You have the red and black connection is all you're going to need. And the supplies that came with the piece is going to suffice with you to make that transition from one thing to the other. So once you have that off, you can remove the black bracket, disconnect the red wire here, and you go ahead and keep that because that should be able to fit right onto the other piece. Then you can just go ahead and slide the black bracket off as such, and this part you could pretty much discard because you won't need it. Go ahead and take this part off. Then you here, it's going to come with a little tightening deal on the back. You can go ahead and take that off, and you want to go ahead and slide it in here, and just make sure it's even in the front where your numbers are. Then you just put this back on and tighten it from the back. I would tighten it this way, so that way the back part is actually flush. Well, obviously that won't work, so you have to put the points towards the front. It's been a while since I did mine, so I couldn't remember what way I had it. But make sure the points are down, because they're going to take up that extra space that will allow it to tighten all the way down. And once you have it in there, it's pretty much going to sit as such here, but you'll get a better view of it once it's actually complete. And the voltmeter is going to come with this connection. As you see, it's only a red and a black wire, which already has the red wire here, and you're going to cut the black wire here to connect them both together. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to take these cutters and you're going to cut the end off of the red wire close to where that piece is at. Then you're going to come here and you're going to cut the other wire, but I'll go ahead and finish this first one first. So you just take it, snip the wire a little, peel back enough of the wire off the splicer, so you can expose the wire that you're gonna need. Once you have it there, just take enough back, and this is what you're gonna put in the butt connector to be able to make the connection to the voltmeter connection that came in. So you take the butt connector, put it in here. Once you push it in, you're going to make sure it shows through a little bit right here. That's going to ensure your connection. Then you just use the crimper and you're going to squeeze that into place. Once you crimp that into place, check it, make sure it doesn't just slide off so easy. Then you're going to take the red wire. Since the wire is so thin, I'm going to take a little bit more off so I can fold it and in essence pretty much like double it up so it doesn't slide out as easy. Twist it a bit, fold it, and you're going to put it in to this end. You want to make sure you stick it in all the way here. Get the butt connectors and you can set those in place depending on how much room you're probably working with. And you're going to stick it inside of here as far as you can. Then you're going to crimp it together. And you want to make sure that you squeeze it tight so that way it doesn't come out. Now once you have that connected, you can check this in, and that part is secure there. Then you want to cut the black wire and do the same thing. You want to do the same thing here. Cut back some of the wire cover. Twist it up and get it ready for the crimp. Again, stick it in, make sure it goes all the way through. And you want to hold it in place, just like the last side. And make sure you're getting it tight. Rinse and repeat with the black wire. You may feel like you don't need to splice it back, which is pretty much a judgment call, but that's just what I like to do. Get my crimper here, and we're going to put this side in, crimp that side to the tightest, and we're good to go on that side. You just check it and make sure that side is good to go. Then all you do is just plug it in as such here, and that's going to be your connection for your voltmeter. Once you get ready to stick the dashboard back in, you have plenty of room inside of here, so you just shove all of the wiring back inside and it won't hurt anything. But we'll do that once we start putting the dash in, once I finish doing the charging side. So that takes care of the voltmeter side. And we're going to do the same thing with the USB charging side. Same process. Take those screws, take those nuts off. Unplug the red. And once you remove that bolt, like I said, everything's going to default right back to the dashboard, because that was the original design of the bike. So now you have the dash loose. You just take the temperature gauge out. The other step, we're going to take a break while I do this part, but you have to take this gauge and you want to sit the USB port here, draw a circle around it, and then you have to knock a hole in it for you to be able to put the USB port in, and we'll come back to recording once I've gotten that part done. Now, to continue what I was saying yesterday, you're going to have this connection here, and you're going to screw this in, and it's going to sit here. All you have to do is just tweak it a little bit, make sure your numbers are straight up there. And again, you're just going to need these two butt connectors. That's going to connect the red and the black that you're going to snip from here. This part, you could just leave it on there. You don't have to cut it off, just leave it there. I put a little bread twist tie to take out some of the slack on this side here. And for this side here that I was speaking of, for the USB connector, that 52 millimeter that you're going to buy, this is the hole that I was talking about putting inside of it. And the reason you're going to put a hole inside of it is because you have to fit this piece in here. So only make it big enough so this can stick in. The way you can measure this, once you have a small hole in the middle, big enough for these two to sit in, put that there. Take a marker or a pen, draw you another circle so you know how wide to go. And once you do that, you can just go ahead and just stick it inside like this. Once you have that inside, the USB connector is going to come with a black piece like this here, which you're just going to put that on and just twist it on there, and that's going to hold it in place against the 52 millimeter attachment that you just put on. Tighten it as much as you can with your finger. Stick your finger in there, tighten it just enough, and that is actually it. So now you have the USB and the spacer, and you're now going to take it and put it inside this section here where the temperature gauge was. You might hear it snap in, and that's it. That's the way it's going to fit there. So as you can see on this side, I only used one butt connector. But on this side, if you want to take this one off, if it doesn't fit, go ahead and take it off. Use another butt connector and the wiring that came, and just attach the red wire to it. I didn't need it. So then you just go ahead, slide this onto here, put your negative back on, and you're pretty much done with that part. And all you have to do now is just stick everything back on the inside, and you're good to go, and you'll have power. So I'm going to go ahead and stuff these wires back in on both sides. Like I was saying earlier in the video, you have plenty of space to be able to do that. And I'm going to go ahead and stick those wires in, and I shall be right back for the ending. Okay, and I'm back. So I've pushed it all back in. The attachment is back there, so now all I have to do is replace the 4 screws here, here, and here. And then that is it. Once you have those connected, you have your USB plugs here, which actually is 2 of them. And you have your voltmeter here on this side, which actually lets you know the voltage, and there also is a red light on the voltmeter that will let you know if something is wrong, because it will come on if the voltage is too low. So you just take these 4 screws, stick them back in place. And as you see, this video is probably a lot longer than it actually takes to be able to do it. So what I would recommend is putting the hole in your 52 millimeter spacer to save yourself time for when you actually get started doing it. So that way you could just snap everything right into place. Me, what I did, unfortunately, is I decided to put the space in, to put the hole in the 52 millimeter spacer while I was doing the video, which would have saved a lot of time. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, I am back. I've gotten everything screwed back in. Going to place my phone here. And turn the bike on. As you see, the voltmeter is on right now. And it's showing 12.1, and I just have the ignition turned, but you see how the voltmeter looks. And also, this is the USB plug. I also selected the color blue here. And that's all it takes. And you don't have to go through all of the stuff that people do. We're trying to run a wire down to your battery and all those other things. Plus, to me, my dash looks a whole lot better with the USB plug and the voltmeter than having a temp gauge and the fuel gauge on there. And as you can see, it actually defaults right to the dash digitally. Temp gauge on this side, fuel bars on this side. Easy peasy. Now I just backed it back into the garage, and now you can see how much better it really looks since I'm in the dark garage. And that is the USB plugs right there.